In today's lesson, we're going to look at powers that have negative signs and look at the role of using brackets or parentheses. Okay, let's look at these four examples. So they're all the same, except where the brackets are and where the negative signs are. So we're going to look at all four different examples, and we're going to see how they are different and how they are the same. For example A, we're going to identify our base first. And our base here is -3. Because it's inside the brackets. The brackets kind of glue that negative to the 3. Now we're going to write it out as repeated multiplication, which just means -3 times -3 times -3 times -3. And we reviewed when we're multiplying by negatives, 2 negatives will make a positive. So if we have 4, that will also make a positive. So our answer will be positive 81. Let's consider the base in example B. The base here is just 3. Because there are no brackets, it means that the base itself is 3. So if we write this out as repeated multiplication, it will look like -3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Or we could also write it as a -1 multiplied by 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which would give us a -81. In part C, let's first consider what our base is. And our base here is -3 because it's inside the brackets. And then we also have a negative outside. So we would write that. So this first negative will be a -1. Okay, and then we have our base 4 times -3, -3, multiplied by -3, multiplied by -3. So we know that these two will make a positive when multiplied, a positive when multiplied, and this one will be negative. So the overall answer will be a -81. And for our final example, we're going to look at the base again. So the base here, again, is just 3. But we also have to consider this negative and this negative. So we can write that by writing -1 by -1, and then writing out our base multiplied by itself 4 times. So since we know a negative by a negative will give us a positive, and these are all positives, then we know our answer will be a positive 81. So I know this sounds really confusing. With a little bit of practice, we'll get the hang of it. So again, just remember when you're evaluating each time, you want to first identify what your base is, and then evaluate. So for some of these questions, I'll just ask you if they're going to be positive or negative, and you'll have to be able to figure that out for me. So let's have a look at this chart so that we can figure out what our base is to help us find our exponent, our power form, and then our standard form. So in the first one, we know that our base is 2, and it's a positive 2. Okay, and because there are 4 of them, we know our exponent is 4. Which gives us a power form of 2 with an exponent of 4 and a final standard form of 16. What I'd like you to do is pause here, go through the rest of these, and then restart the video to see how your answers compare. All right, welcome back. You've had a chance to look at them. Let's go over them together. So in our second example, we can see that the base is a -2. And again, we have 4 of them, which gives us a -2 to the power of 4. Now, because we have an even exponent, and that means we're multiplying 4 negatives together, that's going to give us a positive 16 for an answer. In our third example, our base is 2 with an exponent of 3. which gives us a power form of 2 with an exponent of 3. 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 gives us 8. All right, for our next example, our base here is going to be -2, and there are 3 of them. So that gives us a -2 with an exponent of 3. So -2 times -2 will give us a +4, times the -2 will give us a -8. Next example, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So we know our base is 2 with an exponent of 5, which gives us 2 to the exponent 5. And 2 multiplied by itself 5 times will give us an answer of 32. And our last example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we know our base is -2 with an exponent of 5. So -2 exponent of 5, which will give us, in this case, so if we have a look up here, when we had a negative base, let me highlight that for you. When we had a negative base with a positive exponent, our answer ended up being positive. When we had a negative base with an odd exponent, our answer was negative. So let's have a look here. We have a negative base with an odd exponent. So that would look like -2 times -2 times -2 times -2 times -2. So we know these multiplied together will make a positive. These multiplied together will make a positive. And our last one will give us a negative. So the overall answer will be a -32. Now that you've tried these and we've gone over the answers, what I'd like you to do is move on to the assignment and textbook questions.